The U.S. military has built up an unusually large force in the Caribbean Sea and the waters off the coast of Venezuela since this summer, when the Trump administration first began to shift assets to the region as part of what it calls a campaign against drug trafficking. According to Associated Press, the once-abandoned naval base in La Ceiba, Puerto Rico, came back to life as it became a staging ground for U.S. operations in the Caribbean. U.S. Marine Corps F-35B Lightning II jets and V-22 Osprey aircraft take off and land throughout the day since September as troops move on the tarmac. MQ-9 Reaper Air Force drones, capable of flying long distances and carrying up to 8 laser-guided missiles, have also been spotted operating out of Puerto Rico by commercial satellites, military watchers, and photojournalists around the same time. Recently, the region received a visit from top U.S. military officials to strengthen ties with countries that will serve as staging grounds for U.S. President Donald Trump's Operation Southern Spear. On Wednesday, the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, met with the President of the Dominican Republic, who announced that the U.S. can refuel aircraft, transport equipment, and deploy technical personnel at restricted areas within San Isidro Air Base and Las Americas International Airport. It is the first major public agreement that the U.S. has struck with a Caribbean nation as it seeks friendly allies to support its attacks against alleged drug smuggling boats in the region and beyond. Since the strikes began in early September, at least 83 people have been killed. In previous days, General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and U.S. President Donald Trump's primary military advisor, visited Puerto Rico and Trinidad and Tobago. More than 6,000 U.S. sailors and Marines are operating in the Caribbean in an unusually large military buildup as President Donald Trump targets drug trafficking, which he says is coming from Venezuela. The European Union's top diplomat, Kaja Kallas, on Wednesday said that Russia is not ready for a peace deal despite ongoing negotiations sparked by a plan from U.S. President Donald Trump. Right now, we see zero indication that Russia is ready for a ceasefire. Russia is not winding down its military machine, but ramping it up, she said after a meeting of the foreign ministers of the 27 EU nations in Brussels. According to Associated Press, she said pressure on Russia, like more sanctions and seizing frozen assets, are needed to push Moscow to the negotiation table. We still need to get from a situation where Russia pretends to negotiate to a situation where they need to negotiate. The Commission has proposed transferring to itself ownership of the assets. Then the Commission under von der Leyen's leadership could issue a loan to Ukraine to be repaid only if Moscow gives war reparations for Kiev. Kallas said that there was broad EU support for Belgium now and that we need to make this decision fast, to send the strongest message to Moscow that it cannot wait us.
An immediate and unconditional ceasefire must be the first step to ending the war, but right now we see zero indication that Russia is ready for a ceasefire. Russia is not winding down its military machine, but ramping it up. We still need to get from a situation where Russia pretends to negotiate to a situation where they need to negotiate.
Vitaly.
It was very high level of engagement Russian side on preparations.
To secure the best outcome for Ukraine and Europe, we have to stay the course but pick up the pace. This means more sanctions to deprive Russia of the means to fight and more military and financial support to Ukraine. In the European Council, we pledged to cover the financial needs for Ukraine for 2026 and 2027. And there are, of course, several options on the table, as you know, but the reparations loan is the most clear-cut way to do this. It would send the strongest message to Moscow that it cannot wait us out, and we need to make this decision fast.
Conclude. Good afternoon.